Hi folks, it's Keith Beardsley, back with another edition of the A Tory 01 blog. And today I want to look at the media reports out there that Justin Trudeau is shuffling the ministerial chiefs of staff. Now this is something that doesn't usually happen. Generally speaking, with a minister and the chief of staff, they have a rapport, they have a trust, they have a working relationship that's very important. Now, one of the big differences with the Liberals and with this Prime Minister and PMO for that matter, they appoint the Chief of Staff. Ministers have no say. And this is something that certainly, every PMO has an influence, but in this case, it's dictated by the Liberal PMO as to which minister gets which person. Bill Murno in his book pointed this out, that he had a very competent person that he wanted as his Chief of Staff, and PMO said no. They were going to give him someone else. So right away, there's a certain degree of distrust between a minister and the chief of staff. And trust between a minister and a chief of staff is absolutely crucial. I know that. I've been there and done that. The minister has to trust you, trust your decisions, trust your advice, trust that you're not reporting everything back, that's going on to PMO and so on. So the fact that Trudeau has now decided, or his chief of staff, but really we all know who makes the decisions here, they've decided they have to shuffle the chief of staff. So this tells you that certainly everything is not very good in Justin Trudeau land. They obviously have their own polling numbers. They're looking at them and they're not happy. They're looking at the way the media has started to isolate certain ministers and show them as incompetent as they really are. So these are issues that are out there. How do you make these ministers look better? And how do you, of course, protect the Prime Minister and his reputation? Now, let's keep in mind when you make a cabinet in Canada, and this is true going back for several decades, it's never about the most competent person. Now, certainly your top tier ministers, your top maybe, let's say 8 or 9, maybe 10 ministers, your key ministers, senior ministers, those are basically there on competence. Political competence and competence in the portfolio that they've got, or their abilities. The Prime Minister, he knows who he wants in those jobs. But once we get beyond that group, and we get into certainly ministers of state, you're getting into a lot of people who are simply there because of who they are and where they live. So in Canada, every province has to have a minister. Oh my goodness, just think if your province didn't have a minister and you weren't represented and so on and so on. We have to have a minister in this city and that city. We have to have a minister of this religion, that religion, and so on, all the way down the line. So picking cabinet in Canada becomes very tricky. And Trudeau's made it even worse by the fact that he panders to almost every group out there. So if you look at the ministers of state and all their different titles and sort of shake your head, it's because they're there because he needs them there. He needs votes by whatever group, province, city that these people represent. It's not always about competence. But when things go wrong, the Prime Minister doesn't take the blame for appointing these people. Someone else does. So Katie Telford, it's not her fault, of course, even though she's the one who probably said who each minister was to have as a chief of staff. So the chief of staffs take the fall. So over the next couple of months, you'll see a whole bunch of them decide to go into the private sector and get out of politics. And if things don't improve, you may very well see Katie Telford decide that after all these years in that job, it's just, time for a break, and see her leave. Prime Minister Trudeau never takes the fall, never takes the blame, even though very often he's the root cause. Keith Beardsley, ator01.com. Have a great day.